I got a cold sore. Y'all are just gonna have to deal with it. All right, so after a 2-week break, South Park returns with a banger, talking mainly about a topic that's been on my mind enough to consider making a video about. Not that one. That one. This was all over the beach when I went on vacation, and I went down the deepest rabbit hole trying to figure out what it was. There are many moments in this episode that really hit for me and made me realize I'm not alone in more than a few ways. Hi, this is Gilleymonster. We do South Park videos and other videos too. I got a long one in the oven, which is why I've been kind of MIA for a while, but hang out, sub if you like it, and let's get into it. So we're gonna split this into A and B plots to make it easier, and merge them at the end, because they really do merge together pretty well. So the episode opens of 2 girls comparing Labubus, and what starts off as fun, Cartman starts to notice it's about to happen again and gathers all the kids, which one ends up asking if the other Labubu is fake and ends up getting in this fight. It's known to the students that these always end in this kind of violence. The girls are summoned to the guidance counselor's office because if you remember, Jesus took Mackey's job. Even though I knew this, I was caught off guard by it. It was kind of an oh yeah moment. Jesus tried to preach to them about being kind to each other and stops himself. Wait. What's a Labubu? He gets a crash course on Labubus because he confiscates them. The girls say, some counselor, he's worse than the old counselor. And I really relate to this frame. I just feel this moment. So as the day goes, this character Red goes up to Butters at recess and asks him what he's doing over the weekend. Butters is so confused that she's even talking to him. I also relate to this. Who, me? You're talking to me? She invites him to her birthday party, and as she's walking away, you see her backpack decked out in Labubus. She sends Butters her gift idea, and it's a very specific Labubu, and if you know a thing or two about this already, you already see that as a red flag. You think Butters is gonna put the picture together that she's just using him, but he says he needs to get that Labubu. He ends up at one of my favorite locations in all of South Park, Shitty Walk. It's really City Walk, but you know. But because Wok is dead, it has now become Shitty Asian Pop-Up Store, which, my God, this really is the Chinese century. The Asian pop music is such a nice touch. So Shitty Wok guy, where it's clearly the restaurant, complete with the can I take your order, is more than happy to sell Butters a Labubu. And Butters gets the crash course in Labubus as well, that many in the audience already knew, but some didn't. One does not simply pick a Labubu. You get a box and you hope it's the one you want. And it's also $85 because of tariffs. And as the wise Shitty Wok man says, for a Shitty Asian pop-up store guy, I don't get effed by tariff, you get effed by tariff. Butters gets his Labubu box, opens it, and it's not the one he wants. And he's told, yeah, that happens sometimes. Every time. You just have to buy another for $85 for now. Jesus has a meeting with the faculty in the school about the whole Labubu situation, and to his surprise, everyone already knows about it. And they're cool about it. The faculty is just calling it a fad, and it's just the next big thing. And then Jesus gets informed about Labubu TikToks. He watches a Labubu TikTok that just goes wild after a while and becomes this horrifying ritual. I like the touch of the Labubu in the back, just really locked in on her the entire time. He's shocked. What was that? And everyone's just like, yeah, that's the Labubu unboxing video. Crazy, right? Jesus seems to be the only one that thinks it's not normal. Then we flash to Butters, who ends up going back to the Shitty Asian pop-up store to try to buy another Labubu. But this time the price went up even higher to $120 because tariffs changing make no sense. So Shitty Asian pop-up store guy tells Butters he could try to win one through the fraud machine, and we all know how that's gonna go. Also, during the Shitty pop-up store arc in this, the guy's wife keeps telling him that he's ripping off the children, and he replies with, it's not his fault, Wok is dead, which it keeps hitting. Go Wok, go Brock. Also, if a Chinese restaurant doesn't have an Asian man, like, smoking, and some people just having a passionate conversation in Chinese, I'm sorry, it's just not gonna hit. Jesus ends up having a meeting with 2 moms and their daughters who clearly have been in a fight, talking about everything he knows about the Labubus, TikToks, the rituals, and the moms are just unfazed. Yeah, just take their Labubus away. Wow, good counseling. Yeah, my daughter sees someone summoning demonic forces on TikTok with a Labubu. Yeah, she's gonna want to do it. Do you even have children? Sorry, this is just such modern parent energy. Everyone's been around someone like this. If you know, you know. Especially if you have to work around them. Jesus tells them to keep their kids off TikTok as well, which they then reply, oh, now we can't have TikTok too? Do you even have? They drop a line that the girls only want to go to the Shitty Asian pop store. Also wondering who they think this, in their words, crappy counselor is. But then Jesus is on the beat. He shows up at the store and he talks to the store guy and tells him the dolls are cursed and he can't sell them to kids. Asian guy says he knows they're cursed. Cursed with tariff. I'm cursed of tariff, then you're cursed of tariff. Curse spreads that way, kind of like AIDS. I can't believe this show is still on air. Then Butters finally gets the doll his girlfriend wanted. Jesus tries to talk some sense into him, but he just escapes. Put the pause button on this story. We're gonna talk about the B plot, which is President Trump fucking Satan? So this is raised from the beginning of the episode from a pool of very diverse reporters. And they're asking questions like, with your wife in Mar-a-Lago, are you fucking Satan? Because Satan's been around this entire season. And with the banger line, pretty much everything you're doing, everyone thinks you're fucking Satan. And of course, Satan says they're just hanging out. The play on words is obvious, but it hits every time. Throughout the episode, it cuts to these Fox News pieces where they wonder, is President Trump fucking Satan in some sort of TMZ meets punditry insanity? They all seem to want him to be fucking Satan, talking about where they've been together, his technique. Shout out to this scene. He's doing things no president has ever done. Sean and Hannity and Fox and Friends get a South Park style shout out. It flashes later to Satan in the newly remodeled Rose Garden. Sad, with the paparazzi, aka the news, looking back at him. We all know Satan wants to be gone from this place, and JD comes and asks why he's sad. Satan says he's stuck here because of the dark tides of destiny, and he brings out this box, this demonic looking box, and says what's in the box is why he can't leave. A secret no one must know, but they will discover. The final showdown is upon us. Labubus are not the only mystery box in this episode. Now back to the party. Here's where the plots merge. Butters shows up, dressed nice with his present. Red wonders if it's, and he hints that it is, but she'll have to find out later. She says screw it, just opens it right there. And it's that Labubu. She freaks out and asks if Butters wants to go upstairs to do it, not explaining anything more. He's excited, but thinks doing it is something different. Something radically different than what she is planning. Then she asks everyone else if they want to watch, which Butters thinks is moving a little too fast. Jesus is racing to the house, trying to stop the birthday party. A race against time. Butters ends up in Red's room, confused as to why she's drawing a pentagram on the floor. This wasn't in the birds and bees conversation. And she asks him to film it, and he just wants a kiss first. The other girls come in to watch, and Butters then begins to see what happens of this ritual, complete with the Labubus, a chicken sacrifice, the whole 9 yards. Man, the things Butters has seen on this show. They are trying to summon demonic forces to appear at my birthday party, and then Trump appears, which they didn't expect. And then they ask, wait, is that fucking Satan? And then the big boy appears, but it's more than they bargained for. Fox News is on the scene, treating it like a Weather Channel TMZ report of locusts in the air and red-black skies. This stuff just happens at Labubu parties. Finally, you see the girls run out of the house, followed by President Trump and Satan just waving. They start to walk off, and then the standoff thousands of years in the making begins. Jesus Christ is on the scene for some sort of biblical showdown. He commands him to leave this realm at once. But as we all know, he can't leave. And Satan says, you think I don't want to leave? Satan hands the box to Jesus and begins to address the media and saying that Trump has been fucking Satan. And the reason Satan can't leave is that he's, and I did not see this coming, pregnant. The box had a pregnancy test in it. So Satan's forced to stay in this situation for several more years. Demonic pregnancies are a little different. The term is butt baby. This confirms that Donald Trump has been fucking Satan this entire time, complete with a Kid Rock reaction. The episode closes with Jesus having a counseling session with Butters and Red. If you mess around and aren't safe, there can be consequences, which I do think is, even if delivered in a roundabout way, a pretty good message, where the kids come to the conclusion that they're done with the Labubus and Butters is done thinking about sex. And Jesus says that's good because Labubus, TikToks, and phones are now banned from school. And these two have 2 weeks detention. The kids are bummed, but they say he's better than the old counselor. He sits with a smile, and the episode ends. All in all, I love this episode. I thought it was more poignant and a little more fun than some of the more symbolically dense episodes this season. And I'm always a sucker for a Butters episode. But as with any episode of South Park, there's some real world threads we can connect. The Labubu thing in particular, this has been on my radar since the beginning of summer, and I've thought about doing a video about it and even have half a script written. But I guess that idea is merging with this video. So this is what they are. Little plushies that you can clip on a bag or a purse or a backpack. These little beanie babies, but infused with like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, status flex, TikTok shop, brain rot culture. They are meant to be seen. Something like a Pokemon card is meant to be kept at home, like in your collection or something. But Labubus, no. You're supposed to clip them to your bag, your purse, your keys. They aren't as much meant to be enjoyed. They are meant to be flashed. Part of the reason they are so popular is a lot of social media influencers have either been seeing seen with them or have made videos with or about them. There's a whole economy of videos on like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, just specifically about these things. Unboxing them, flexing them, and of course their rarity. Yes, like all collectibles, some are purposefully more rare than others, which really gets magnified due to social media. And if you really want to see how much some of these little plushies cost, just go to eBay. It's wild. And like the episode says, for the most part, you buy them at random. So there's this whole gambling light aspect to it. A lot of Asian countries really have a sort of gambling gotcha culture, and they've had it for a while, with entire stores being filled with these like machines to get random toys, and playing a lot of those Chinese free-to-play games where you have to roll for items or characters instead of just earning them through gameplay or buying them outright. The Labubu is just a natural evolution of these concepts. One does not simply buy the Labubu they want, unless they want to pay a massive markup. You gotta play the game. Now let's be real, these things are hideous. I think Tim Dillon said it best, maybe like a month ago.
I do not like them. They give me an uneasy feeling. I don't like them. I think it's not great that we have these Chinese voodoo dolls circulating amongst the population. There's something odd about fentanyl stuffed Chinese voodoo dolls being attached to people's belt loops, and people are wearing them like necklaces, and they're actually kind of creepy critters. They're not aesthetically pleasing. They're not cute. They're kind of creepy, and everyone agrees they're kind of creepy and off-putting. But they're a status symbol. And like many things, it is completely devoid of meaning. And in a world that is increasingly devoid of meaning, it absolutely makes sense that people will be entranced by different things like this.
I think that sums it up better than I ever could. Also, the Chinese company that owns Labubu, PopMart, a company that claims to be the maker of designer toys, is worth $54 billion, a 5,000% increase from June of last year. They make like one or two other things, but you could essentially view their value right now as a pile of Labubu cash. There's companies that actually do great things that will never touch that level of value. So the other reoccurring theme in this episode is, I've said this so many times, is President Trump really fucking Satan? And the answer appears to be yes. I don't know, I thought it was a pretty funny play on words. And even as a mini payoff of having Satan around this entire time. Of course, ignoring the Saddam Hussein references. I really didn't see the pregnant twist coming when he said he couldn't leave this place throughout the season. I truly thought he was gonna have some sort of, I don't know, devil Labubu in that box for his own sort of ritual or apocalypse. Although considering the fact that he really hates the situation he's in, this kind of is his apocalypse. And I don't know, wordplay aside, I mean, my South Park videos alone have covered a lot of things President Trump has done since just January. It's understandable that people think he's literally, you know, and of course Fox News of all places is like, yeah, we love him for it. And if you're not politically engaged and want a crash course as to why people might feel this way, just some things off the top of my head, not even thinking that hard. The brutality of mass deportations, the tariff situation turning the US economy into a bouncy house, alienating our allies, cutting budgets for Medicare and Medicaid, cutting money for veteran services, cutting government jobs, deploying the National Guard to the streets of America. Pretty much everything Doge did. The whole situation with a certain Jeffrey Epstein and his files. You know, the ones that existed but now don't, but now do, but they're not really you know, that whole thing. And we're only in September. But all things being said, I think I'm gonna leave it there. This one wasn't as dissectable as some of the other ones, and I think I liked it a little less than the last episode. The last episode really spoke to me. I did a whole 15 minutes about it. But it not being as good as the last one to me isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's still a banger, but I don't think this one will age as well as some of the others. And I didn't want to give away all of my Labubu notes because there might be a video about that coming down the road at some point. Maybe, maybe not. But hey, that's all for me. Like this video if you like this video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I'll see you when I see you.